Hello, everyone. Today, I would like to introduce a surprising side of Francis Xavier that is not often found in history textbooks. We will look into the little-known life of the famous missionary and its surprising facts. Here comes the surprising fact number 1. Francisco Xavier is not his real name. His real name is Francisco de Jasso y Javier. It's quite long, isn't it? He was born in 1506 to a noble family in the Kingdom of Navarre in what is now northern Spain. The Xavier castle where he was born and raised was lavishly decorated. It was truly the lifestyle of a sergeant. Even more surprisingly, Xavier's maternal ancestors had Spanish royal blood running through their veins. In other words, he had royal blood. Number 2. Unexpected university life. At the age of 19, Xavier entered the University of Paris. Here he majored in philosophy. However, his university life was not limited to his studies. In the records of the time, he was described as jovial and sociable. In other words, he must have been what we would call a handsome sergeant today. In addition to his university studies, Xavier also mastered swordsmanship, horseback riding, and other aristocratic pursuits. He was truly a man of both literary and military prowess. Number 3. Dreams. Before becoming a missionary, Xavier's dream as a young man was not actually to be a missionary. His goal was to become a high-ranking clergyman of the church. At that time, that position brought tremendous power and wealth. In fact, Xavier's aspiration to become a high-ranking clergyman was due in part to his family's expectations. At that time, it was not unusual for the second or third son of a noble family to join the church. However, one encounter would change his life forever. Number 4. Fateful encounter and life change. Ignatius de Loyola is the man who will change your life. They became roommates at the University of Paris and formed a deep friendship. However, things did not start out well. At first, Xavier made fun of Ignatius' fervent religious beliefs. But through Ignatius' persistent persuasion and friendship, he gradually opened his heart. Under Ignatius' influence, Xavier gradually awakened to his faith. Finally, he chose to live for God rather than worldly success. Number 5. Amazing language ability. Xavier's hidden talent was his astonishing language ability. He was fluent in Spanish, French, and Latin. He was fluent in all these languages. He also learned Japanese and other Asian languages for missionary work, but he had a lot of trouble learning Japanese. In his letter, he wrote, "Learning Japanese is as difficult as the work of the devil." Japanese is difficult even now for foreigners, and it must have been even more difficult back then. Xavier's language skills were a great weapon in his missionary work. In India, for example, he preached in the local language and won the hearts of many people. Number 6. A rare episode in Japan. In 1549, Xavier landed in Japan. This is where things start to get interesting. First of all, Xavier brought a pair of glasses. To the Japanese at that time, they looked like magic tools. His black long coat also surprised the Japanese. One record describes him as a foreigner who looked like a black bird. There were also many misunderstandings about language. One time, when Xavier wanted to use the word kami, God, he said oni, demon, startling his audience. Life in Japan was full of surprises for Xavier. For example, he was surprised by the Japanese bathing culture. At that time, Europeans did not have the custom of bathing frequently, so he was at first puzzled when he saw the Japanese custom of taking a bath every day. Number 7. Struggle with health problems. Xavier's unknown affliction was a health problem. He suffered from chronic leg pain. Nevertheless, he pushed through the pain and continued his activities out of a sense of mission. The grueling journey and drastic climate changes. Xavier overcame these normally unbearable conditions with his strong mental strength. His letters describe how he overcame the pain with the power of faith. This is truly a triumph of spiritual strength. Number 8. Unexpected hobbies and skills. Now, let me tell you one more unexpected aspect of Xavier. He was actually good at chess. It is said that his skill at chess, which required strategic thinking, was utilized in planning for later missionary activities. He was also interested in navigation and map-making. This would come in very handy later in his missionary work. Even more surprisingly, Xavier also had a deep knowledge of music. He was especially good at playing the lute, an instrument that he sometimes used in his missionary work. Number 9. The last journey in 1552, Xavier fell ill on Kamikawa Island, a small island just before landing in China, at the young age of 46. But his journey did not end here. His body was moved many times from place to place, passing through Goa and Malacca, until it was laid to rest in the cathedral in what is now Goa, India. Today, his body is enshrined in the Basilica of Bom Jesus here in Goa. It is said that after Xavier's his right arm was cut off and sent to Rome. It is said that this was cherished as a holy relic. It is a bit grotesque, but it was not unusual in those days. Number 10. Xavier's relationships. Xavier had many interesting relationships in his life. In particular, his friendship with Ignatius de Loyola was so deep that they called each other brother. In Japan, an encounter with a Japanese man named Anjuro Yahiro was important. Anjiro became Xavier's interpreter and helped him with his missionary work in Japan. Their meeting is said to have been as dramatic as a novel. It is said that Anjuro boarded a Portuguese ship to escape a murder charge, where he met Xavier. Number 11. Xavier's influence and legacy. Xavier's influence continued long after his final days. In Japan, the seeds he planted led to the later, Christian era. Even today, traces of his influence can be seen in Nagasaki and elsewhere. In Goa, India, a school and hospital named after him are still active. Stamps and coins have been issued around the world in his honor. His work as a missionary was short-lived, but his influence has reached the present day. How was it? A surprising side of Francis Xavier, an amazing life. The great man in history was a human being with joy, anger, sorrow, and pleasure just like us. His life was not a smooth road. A young man born to a noble family and dreaming of worldly success, he eventually overcame difficulties and transformed himself into a great missionary. In the process, there were friendships, struggles, and strong convictions. What can we learn from his life? That is for each of you to consider. How did you like this video? If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.